This is episode 76 of I Know What You Watched Last Week, coming at you in colour. Unlike the movies coming to us last week, because it's black and white week.
I am really excited, or I was really excited because...
And now you're not.
I've obviously heard and read and studied a lot about these black and white movies, but I've actually barely seen any black and white horrors.
What did we watch?
Alright, we started with Nosferatu.
Yeah, the proper Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Not Robert Eggers, not Nosferatu the Vampire, Nosferatu.
From the 20s, right? 1920s.
29.
Was it that late?
I think it's 29.
Oh, okay. And we then saw House on Haunted Hill.
Original as well, 59. Vincent Price. I'm wearing my Vincent Price lounge trousers, which are out of shot. Yes, you heard me correctly. My Vincent Price lounge pants. Get them at any Chinese warehouse near you on your internet websites.
Mm-hmm. And we finished the week with the famous The Cabinet of Dr Caligari.
Yeah. Or, what was it? The Crab Shack of Dr Calamari.
Oh dear. No, it was definitely The Cabinet of Caligari.
Right.
Yeah. Are you ranking this week?
Yeah, of course we were ranking.
Yeah.
I'll go first then, I suppose. Yeah. And there's going to be an asterisk in my rankings. Third place for me, The Cabinet of Dr Caligari. Second place, House on Haunted Hill. And top, Nosferatu.
I'm actually quite surprised. I'm really quite shocked. If you look by popular opinion, The Cabinet of Dr Caligari is by far rated the highest.
I said there's an asterisk.
But do you know what the weird thing is? I've got it in exactly the same order as you.
Not weird, just the way it should be.
And I was going to say, before I gave my rankings, I was like, a lot of people are going to be really miffed at my putting it in the third place. But that is where I
doubt many people are even watching the Cabinet of Dr. Calamari these days. Look, black and white, yeah? You came to me sometime last week when I was just milling about, and you said, oh, how about for our next episode we do black and white movies? And I looked at you like... I said, I've literally just been thinking that over the past few days that we're going to do a few black and white movies, and I'm just going to hazard a guess that you suggested black and white because of the book you've been reading on horror.
The history of
right?
horror,
Am I correct in that?
You are correct.
Yeah, the reason that I wanted to do black and white is because obviously all I ever think about is Heathen. And I was thinking maybe first part of Heathen, black and white. Imagine that. Dirt cheap, quicker to do, easy to do. I'll do the second part in colour.
Well, actually...
In colour!
I did, when I was thinking about all these black and white movies, and I went onto our social media and I put a question out there to see, how many horror fans have actually watched black and white films. And in my mind, when I asked the question, I was thinking more when there was
old
no choice.
Movies,
I was thinking the old films, Whereas I got a surprising amount of comments from people who'd watched black and white films, but from, 2000 onward.
Clerks.
It wasn't that one, that's not horror. But
no, but I love Clerks.
Which is interesting. And it's even more so, in my opinion, because then people have actually had a choice and they've opted for black and white. So, there has to be something behind that, I suppose.
Yeah, I was going to quickly correct myself. Nosferatu's 22.
That's what I was
1922.
thinking,
And Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, 1919 or 1920. It's got both written places. But anyway... So I'll start with obviously we'll go in your order.
Oh, thank you.
Your third place pick, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Now, just give me 2 minutes here.
Yeah, to explain your asterisk, or?
No, we're going to do the asterisk afterwards, but because we're probably not going to watch Cabinet of Dr. Caligari again. So for those who haven't seen it, I'm just going to run through what it is, because it can be a bit, sometimes a bit hard to tell what's going on. 1919/1920. We've got a character called Francis. And he's sitting and he's telling a story to an older gentleman in a German town called Holstenwall. And Francis is telling a story about him and his mate Alan. And they're going to the carnival. Oh boy, the carnival! That's Milhouse Van Houten from The Simpsons, in case anybody's wondering. And yes, so Francis goes to the carnival with his friend Alan, and there's a vendor there, the Dr. Caligari, and his in as a vendor is that he has a somnambulist, right, who's been asleep for the past 25 years, named Cesare. Cesare, everyone says his name differently in different versions of it. And he can be woken to prophesize.
Right.
So Dr. Caligari... Supposedly. And he's been asleep for 25 years. So Dr. Caligari says you can ask him any question and he'll let you know the answer. Of course, Alan walks up and says to Cesare, when will I die? And he's informed he'll be dead by dawn. And indeed, that is the case. We see him murdered in the morning, but we don't know by who, because it's done in shadows against the wall. Someone's attacked in shadows against the wall. Obviously, Dr. Caligari and Cesare are suspected in this murder. And Francis tries to solve the murder and find the killer, who also now has his eyes on Jane, who is coveted by both Francis and Alan while he was still alive, as for his next victim. So I just want to mention as well, there's just a quick shot of Dr. Caligari feeding like slop/gruel
to the sleeping
to Cesare, which was pretty disgusting. And another murder takes place during this, but it's just done by like, a common criminal. Cesare has also made an attempt somewhat on Jane's life, but he lets her live, kind of like drags her out of where she is, and he's stunned by her beauty and kind of lets her run away.
I was going to say, because she's a hottie.
Or did he? Now, Francis, after this, he goes to an asylum and he asks about Caligari, and is told by the receptionist or the worker at the asylum that he'll have to go and ask the head of the asylum about patients there, because he doesn't have the right to divulge the information. So he does, and he goes to the head, and it turns out the head of the asylum is Caligari. Right, it is Caligari. And Francis then, he gets the old Bill involved because he suspects Caligari of doing these horrid things. And they look through these books and they tell the story of an historical, mythical Caligari in the year 1093, I believe, who was doing the same things as this present-day Caligari, namely taking his somnambulist around town to town and murdering the townsfolk through his sleepwalking monster. We then have a bit where we see the modern day Caligari. He's out on the street and he's saying to himself, I must become Caligari, I must become Caligari, I must become Caligari. It's like all these words are coming out. Remember that bit? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he is then, the asylum staff then put Caligari in a straitjacket, and Francis's storytelling to the old man on the bench is then done. Mm-hmm. We then have narrative framing, where we're now in the modern time of the movie, and in the present day, Francis and the older gentleman who's told the story to, they go to the asylum. Cesare is there. Francis warns the older gentleman about him and not to take his prophecies on board, otherwise something bad will happen to him. Jane is also there, right, in the asylum, and seemingly on a whim, Francis asks her to marry him. And she rejects him and says, I can't be married to anyone who isn't of royal blood. Huh? Like, that's just one of the things that went completely over my head. But it didn't seem to come round again.
Right.
So I don't understand the royal blood thing, kind of thing. Anyway, that happens. And Caligari then appears, and there's kind of a physical altercation between him and Francis. And Francis is apprehended by the asylum staff. Dr. Caligari comes to the conclusion that Francis is mad, caused by his delusions that Caligari is the mythical Caligari from 1093. And so then Francis is committed, and the last thing we see is Caligari saying that he has a surefire cure for Francis' mania. And that's pretty much the end of the film.
Okay.
Right.
It was really hard for me to contain myself because I have so many comments on things
well,
mentioned.
The thing is, I was duped.
You were
because I've seen
someone trickstered you.
I've seen Jeff Bezos of all people. He tricked me again.
Could you?
Because he had this movie, Jeff, listed as Dr. Caligari 1920. So he started it. And I'm like, this looks familiar because all the sets are exactly the same. And all the sets are exactly the same. Because in this version I watched, it turns out it came out in 2005. And they used all of the sets, essentially like green screened it on. And then just put new characters in it. Now this, what we watched, had dialogue to it, right?
Yeah.
Because the original version, it goes on, as old films do, quite a bit too long. There are like long silences. The text looms on the screen far too long. You can read like 15 times like by the time it comes off. So there is this version where they have dialogue where it's kind of like it speeds up for a modern audience and takes off 15 minutes. But what we had here is stupid 2005 version with like some guy from I think, what's that movie, The Smell of Water or whatever it's called, about that thing. Someone wants to make The Shape of Water. Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I don't really care about it. And the dialogue was an abomination to this film.
Okay, so I wanted to say this earlier, but
you can just go now.
Told me to
all I wanted to do was go through what the movie is, and that's what I've done.
So you say you've obviously watched the original.
Yeah.
I had not. This is the only version I've watched, and this version, as you say, has voiceovers on it. It also has an attempt at some sort of like rock score. Is that what you would call it?
Yeah, because the original has like just hard hitting organ.
Right.
Yeah.
So whilst I was watching this, I was trying to ignore the modern
same here
like stuff put over it, but it's still, because I haven't seen the original, it's hard for me to know, because they took out all the, you know, the written word and all that, and they were like, well, we've got dialogue now, so no one needs to know it. And also the dialogue, how they chose these voice actors for this film is really baffling, because it did not fit at all to me.
No,
to my mind.
The dialogue in the film, written and performed, was abysmal.
It was really bad.
Absolutely abysmal.
I would not recommend this version to anyone.
Not at all.
That being said, that's not the only reason that I personally put this in third place, because as I just mentioned, I try to ignore the modernisms as I could decipher them. Mm-hmm. But even so, I found it really bizarre. A lot of the shots, the framing and choices, having heard about this film and knowing that it's so sort of worshipped in a way.
There's not a right angle in sight.
But I just thought there were certain bits where they framed, so it's like a third of someone's face is in it and whatnot. And I understand the thing of being a bit different and
light and shadow,
but it just didn't work for me. It's a personal preference, but I thought it wasn't cool and edgy and artistic. I thought it was just amateur.
Well, that's the new guy doing it. The guy that did this in 2005 has no other credits to his name except for the 2023 Nosferatu. That's right, there is a 2023 Nosferatu, which is being in production at the same time as the more modern remake by Eggers.
Weird.
And it stars, I think his name is Doug Jones, the guy from The Shape of Water, and all these other films. I think he's in Hellboy and Hellboy 2 as like a monster as well. And he plays Nosferatu. He's the guy that plays Cesare in this version. So the guy that's directed this version of the Cabinet of Dr Caligari is also just randomly, 18 years later or whatever it is, done Nosferatu.
I don't understand. So you were saying that they've got new actors in it?
All the actors in it are modern day actors, yes.
Wait, what?
They've superimposed some of the actors' faces onto bodies. They've used all the same sets, all the background paintings from the original. And almost like green, it's like a version of green screening. So okay. all of the background there is the original background, and what they've done is just inserted modern day actors into the set from 1919. And if you notice, there's a bit where Cesare is like, he's walking against the wall, and he's like trying to touch the wall, and he's not touching the wall because it doesn't line up.
I'm so confused.
That's what I'm saying. This film has an asterisk because I thought this might possibly come top for me, but we didn't watch the version that it was supposed to be, and this is just an absolute abomination. Can I just go through? So there's
Okay, so basically what you're saying is that my idea of Cabinet of Dr Caligari is actually not the Cabinet of Dr Caligari.
No.
Oh, thank God.
No.
Thank God. I thought I was like just missing something.
I thought
this kind of sucked.
Conrad Veidt, who plays Cesare in the original, he's also in that Casablanca, another obviously black and white movie. I don't think you've seen Casablanca.
No,
right?
I haven't. No.
Okay, he's in that, and his performance is like far better
can't believe
than
it.
Doug Jones. And
I didn't
and
realise
everything
that it
else.
was that different. I
Look-
was like, I thought they just put the extra sound over it and
No.
whatnot. I didn't realise that that was all...
But why were they doing the dialogue like that? As if they were trying to make out like, oh, this is what dialogue would be like in 1920.
Yeah, I know.
Because there's a bit where Alan, Francis is like told that Alan is dead. It's like, Mr. Francis, Alan is dead. And all of a sudden you just hear, Alan is dead, Alan is dead. Alan is dead, Alan is dead, Alan is dead, Alan is dead.
It's so strange.
My
Especially...
performance was better just then than the one in the movie. Truly.
That makes even less sense now that you've told me that the actors are, superimposed in it as well, because it's not like they really were... It wasn't as if they were saying the dialogue as they would in a modern film. It was still as if they had the original and then they'd dubbed over for the modern audience.
So that at first,
I am completely
At first I was
baffled.
caught off guard because, like I said, I've seen it and I've noticed all the backgrounds and I was like, right, okay, here's the movie. But then after it took me about 7 minutes to notice. I was like, hang on here. But I was literally watching a movie like this at this point. Kind of thing, and I thought I'm just going to go with it anyway, just see what they're doing. But no, this is an updated version. Now there's also obviously Dr. Caligari and also Nosferatu. It's expressionism, German expressionism.
Yeah.
The acting in this is not expressionistic acting.
No.
It's just I think they're trying to do it, but they're failing miserably.
To be honest, there was nothing in this film that impressed me. The thing I was most interested in, and now it seems it's one of the only original things, was the settings, the backdrops.
Yeah.
I found it really interesting because it's the most sort of... It felt like a theatre play
They're painted
that they've
a
filmed.
lot of
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Obviously, you can tell that it's not real.
Obviously, you've got slanted walls.
Yeah.
Jagged alleyways, kind of like sloped glass, almost like windows, everything like this. So, but the reason that I went through the story at the beginning, which is because I want to talk about bits from the original. So the first thing I've got here is obviously the ending, right?
Yeah.
Because we had the narrative framing where we go into modern day in the movie.
Yes.
There's what I'm guessing is one of the original twist endings.
Right.
Because is Francis Dr. Caligari, is Francis just a nutter from the asylum who's imagining this all in his head? Mm-hmm. Is it just a message on the lunatics running the asylum, kind of thing? And yes, did Francis kill Alan? Because they both covet Jane. We don't actually see who kills Alan.
Okay.
Yeah, there's kind of all these questions around it. It's like Mulholland Drive-ish, or should I say that Mulholland Drive is Dr. Caligari-ish in the terms of, okay, what has gone on here? What is actually happening?
I did feel like they were kind of insinuating at the end that the Dr. Caligari, as we've seen him, that's kind of all...
In his head?
In Alan's head? Or
Yeah, No, Francis.
Francis's head, and that Francis and the woman that they both coveted...
Jane.
They're just inmates at the asylum, and it's kind of all a fiction of his imagination.
So you're also putting then Jane in the asylum as well. So Jane isn't someone who's in his outside life who's possibly been rejected by, and then he's just putting her in there. Okay,
they were suggesting that he's completely made everything up.
Right. So I've got here. Is it just ramblings then? Ramblings of a madman? Because once what we've mentioned the backgrounds, the way that all the sets look, and it's like the world through the eyes of a madman, because everything's unbalanced. Nothing makes sense, and it almost looks like depression. Kind of, what I'm saying there?
I understand what you mean, and also it paints, as I said, this image of it. It's completely not in reality. You don't watch this and feel like. I mean, you can tell the settings are obviously man-made. That's why I said it looks a lot like a theatre show with great backgrounds, but it's definitely, suspend disbelief kind of thing.
Is the surefire cure that Caligari says that he has for Francis Cesare?
Well, I don't know. Again, at this point, it doesn't really fit with the other thing that I was getting, that it's all imagination. This would go more that what we've seen is true. And in that case, I was thinking that maybe now Dr. Caligari is going to make Francis into his new Cesare, into his new somnambulist.
Somnambulist. Yeah, somnambulist. You call him the sleepwalker if you want. A somnambulist is someone that sleepwalks, by the way, but can perform things like driving. He can perform in driving in the state. He might cook. He might kill, as is the thing with Cesare in this. Also, at the beginning, when we see Francis recounting the tale to the older gentleman, is the older gentleman, because the older gentleman has just told him a story as well, and now Francis is trying to one up him on his story. Is he just another guy who's in the asylum then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so obviously we didn't get the original, but something else that's from the original is obviously the expressionism of the use of light and shadows, right? Then you've also got the use of very light and very heavy makeup and a pretty gothic story. All those things are in Heathen.
Yeah.
Big time. So this is one of the most, not this version, but Dr. Caligari is one of the most influential, not just horror movies, just movies of all time. Because you take it to Nightmare Before Christmas, it's clearly been influenced by this. Edward Scissorhands, all Tim Burton, possibly countless music videos, all of it has come from this.
Again, when I was reading about this film, before we saw even this version, I was getting all this stuff from
Shutter
it that
Island
sounded really good, and I was really excited to see this. This is one of the three. The other two, actually, I was going to go with different black and whites, but the Cabinet was one of the three that we both wanted to see. But this
I just went ones
version,
I've already seen so that I could,
this version was, I'm like I said, I had no idea that so much of it was not the original, because I found it so disappointing, and I was like, after all that and all the excitement and waiting, and then it was just...
It's hard to put into words how bad the acting performances and the dialogue performances are in this. It's just atrocious.
I just don't understand why it's been done, though. It seems like such a weird choice.
For a modern audience.
But it's not.
I know.
It's really not.
It's so bad that I'm kind of intrigued to see the guys take on Nosferatu as well. Especially having the same actor that plays Cesare in this. Yeah. And just see what this guy must not have an original thought in his head. He's like, I'm going to remake Dr. Caligari and I'm going to do Nosferatu 20 years later.
Do you know, a tiny thing, part of the story that I'm curious about is if you went to this fair...
Yeah.
And
oh boy, the carnival!
Yeah, and you believed what you were being told, which, like, just because it's back in the day doesn't mean that people are super gullible. I don't think everyone would believe that this guy's been asleep for 25 years and that he can read the future. But let's put that aside. If you went there with your friend and you believed that this was true, and you thought, I'm going to ask a question, would you ask when you're going to die?
Am I hopped up on sugar from, like, candy floss and stuff?
Maybe.
Asking when you're going to die, I suppose, maybe is one of the first questions that comes into a lot of people's head that and evidently you probably wouldn't ask, actually. Because you don't want to know.
No, I feel like that's one of the worst questions you could ask.
When am I going to die? Well, what would you want to ask then? Because it has to be something of some substance and weight, surely, if you've got this one opportunity to ask any question.
Well, for example, I thought a more obvious one might have been, you know, who am I going to marry, or will I be happy with that? Because they're both at this point courting
such a lady
the
question.
Woman. But they both love her, and they're both just like, oh. I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
Are we in the Matrix?
But I have thought that when am I going to die would be, no.
Yeah, no.
No, you just have more questions.
More questions come after death.
Well, you'd be like, how and why, and not just like, when.
So basically, the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari rules. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari sucks. So watch the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I'm going to
watch the original.
Yeah, and thank you, Jeff Bezos, for giving me misinformation on the screen once again. Sort out the streaming service. So let's move on to... So that's the asterisk as why it's bottom for me. So let's go on to the number 2 pick for both of us. The 1959 version, a classic, House on Haunted Hill, directed by the one and only William Castle, starring the one and only Vincent Price.
Yeah.
And Elisha Cook, who plays Pritchard in the film. He's also done a lot of famous movies too. So...
Yes. This... I should mention before we get far into this that I've seen the remake, courtesy of you, many a time.
Because I love William Malone's House on Haunted Hill from 1999.
It is entertaining, I'll give you that.
Love it.
And also, having seen the original, I really like the casting in the remake.
Yeah, look, you're going to get me all hyped about the remake now.
No.
But yeah, the ensemble cast in the remake is superb. Yeah.
So, I am going to use some comparisons as we go through this.
Yeah, I was going to do a couple as well, but yeah.
Yeah, because if you are not already aware, the story goes that a very rich and I suppose eccentric guy...
Yeah, Frederick, played by Vincent Price.
Yeah, the one and only. Throws a birthday party for his wife.
Mm-hmm.
His, like, third wife or something, by the way, or fifth, or I don't know what.
He's probably squandered loads of money getting divorced.
And he invites a bunch of people that she's never met.
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to be a case of if you can survive the night or get through the night in this haunted house, I will give you, I think it's 10,000 in the original, which is up to $1 million in the remake or something.
$1 million in the remake, 10 grand in the original, which in today's money would be about 100 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, first of all, would you do this?
Absolutely, I would. Yeah, but the problem is they're all brought together for distinct reasons, aren't they? So if I am invited to a party where I'm like, you can win a bunch of money, am I just there to be offed? That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, this was a big financial hit, this film. Okay. Huge financial hit. Very low budget at the time as well, and the demand for it was absolutely insane. They had like great marketing, things like this. Recently you've been going on about gimmicks and stuff. There was a gimmick for the release of this where if you're in the cinema watching it on string, at some point there would be a flying skeleton coming above you, a la Scream 2 when they go and watch Stab at the beginning and Ghostface flies over their head and stuff like that.
What has ever happened to gimmicks? Like, I think that seems so fun.
The problem is gimmicks are much like Hollywood, they're just regurgitated. So if you take, I think it was Terrifier 3, they put vomit bags, bath bags on everyone's seat saying, oh, you're never going to survive this movie without vomiting into a bag. That's been done like
but also that's not a fun gimmick.
Times.
Having a skeleton fly above your head, or even, I don't remember which film, but there was one where they had tiny little electric things, so you got like a little shock every time something happened. As long as it's not painful, that seems... But there's all these things that seem really fun, and it just doesn't happen. I suppose maybe it's difficult to do on a larger scale, because obviously now if you put it out into a chain cinema, it's going to be...
That's even if your movie gets to the cinema. I mean, look at, if you take... I'm not interested in the movie. Why would I be interested in another Frankenstein movie? But the recent Frankenstein movie, let me just reiterate, zero interest in anyone doing any more Dracula movies, Frankenstein movies, werewolf movies. It's been done, and it's been done to a standard you're never ever going to reach. Doesn't even matter if you're...
And it's been done like 100
Exactly.
times.
It doesn't matter if you're Guillermo del Toro, you're not going to reach the height. So I'm not interested in Frankenstein, but even that, I think that must have like a $200 million budget. And obviously Netflix have got more money than God, so they're like, we don't even need to release this in the cinema. Cinema is dying. It's like, when you got Guillermo del Toro directing the Frankenstein, it's like, oh, we're not even going to bother put it in the cinema. What is the fucking point? What's the point? But
also, cinemas, to my recollection, when I was a kid, the screenings would be quite full.
Yeah.
Since I've been like a teenager and up into adulthood, it's like a third full, like 2/3 of the place empty, and it's so expensive nowadays.
Well, to be fair, we don't even go to the cinema because nothing that I actually want to see.
But when we have been, it's just
is even released in the cinema. If I go back even a few years, maybe I think it's maybe about 10 years when it's not a great movie, but I still was interested to see it. I think it's called The Lords of Salem or The Witches of Salem by Rob Zombie. Was his latest movie at the time. So I walked into my local cinema and said, hey, are you going to be showing this? And they were like, looking at me like I was like talking Greek or something like that. And they went to go and check and everything. I was like, oh no, we're not showing that. It turns out none of our cinemas are showing this movie. There's just nothing. Even go back way further for the remake of Last House on the Left. You could only see that movie at like 11:40 at night. And that was it. And I went to go and see it, and there was only me in there. Just me. With my own person. Anyway, let's get kind of back to the film.
Yeah.
With the characters. So you've mentioned what's going on here. 10,000 if you can survive the night. We've got Lance, who has a bit of a gambling problem. So he's in financial disarray because of his gambling. That's Lance. We've got Nora, who she works for Frederick, Vincent Price character.
Looks after her whole family, so she needs the money.
We've got the doctor. And we've also got Pritchard. Pritchard, who is the owner of the house, and he knows everything about it. He's like always going on ramblings of impending doom about what's going to happen to him, how the ghosts are going to rise and get them and stuff like this. Once again played by Elisha Cook. And the house itself, the real house, is in Los Feliz. It's the Ennis house, and it's designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. It's on the register of National historic places. It's also on the California one and so forth. On a hill, like I said, in Los Feliz. We've seen this before in Blade Runner. We've also seen it in $1 Million Listing when it was up for sale. Because for a while, I'm not sure if it still is, but it was in the public domain. So because it's protected by this register, I believe you can go there for like Halloween tours and stuff like this. But it doesn't look like the kind of house you can actually live in. It's the kind of house where if you have enough money and you can collect houses, this is the kind of house that you might buy just for its historic relevance.
I collect houses.
And to make it... Yeah, I collect houses. Yeah, I collect houses and cars. Now, it's also just above... The Ennis house is just above something called the Los Feliz Murder House, where a doctor, I believe again in the 50s, murdered his wife, tried to murder his daughter, but she survived, and committed suicide. And since then, the house has pretty much remained vacant. It's up for sale now, even, and everyone's trying to restore it. Has come into financial difficulties. There's kind of like there's a curse attached. Either there's a curse or it's just too expensive. Take your pick. Yeah, but not a bad thing, you know, to associate yourself with both ways. Really, is it? Oh, this is my house, the Los Feliz Murder House, and that's the house on Haunted Hill there, or vice versa.
That's not a bad thing to have in your life, you're saying?
No, as a selling point for me.
Most people would say that's an anti-selling point.
Yeah, most people. Maybe I'm not most people. Yeah. So is it cursed or is it just too expensive? It's cursed. Well, get it. Got it.
Do you know what I found really interesting with this?
We're also missing out Annabelle, who is Vincent Price, aka
I really
Frederick's
liked her in this, actually.
Wife. And you mentioned that we're going to keep a couple of times going back and forth to the remake. If you think of Vincent Price and his wife Annabelle in this, they're superb together when they come together.
Absolutely.
And I also think that Jeffrey Rush and Famke Janssen hit the nail on the head in the remake as well.
I will say that I found this version, the original version, showed their relationship far more clearly to me than what they do in the remake. I feel like if you've seen this first and then you see the remake, you're completely on board, you know what's going on. But having seen the remake first, it's definitely not as put out there that basically they despise each other. They want each other dead. She's married him to get the money and she won't take, she's being bought off. Like, she wants all of it. And I just feel like it was a lot more sinister in this. I still feel like there's almost a bit of more joy in the relationship in the remake.
It's even though this movie, the original, is kind of camp, you know, it has that camp nature to it. The remake does take that as well, and mostly with those two talking to each other. But do you know what's missing from the original? Vincent Price's character doesn't own and design roller coasters and fairgrounds. That was a big mistake.
Do we actually know why he's such a rich man? In
No,
this? They don't go into it.
It might have been mentioned in passing dialogue, but again, not a problem. Something you get with older films is inevitably, even though it doesn't last very long, so I believe it's under an hour. There are still bits where it kind of drags, but nothing happens for a while. I always find it, like, even if you watch like movies like Rear Window by Hitchcock, which is a great film, but there are just parts where it's just like, oh god, 10 minutes of just absolutely nothing essentially happening.
Yeah, the pacing in black and white is normally very, very different.
If we go to kind of like more to the original, so the first scary thing we see, which is the scariest thing, is Nora seeing that ghostly woman in the shadows, and then later on appear behind her in the room and seriously freaking her out. I think that's a very effective scare, that.
I think it's so funny when it gets like revealed that that's not a ghost woman at all. It's just like one of the caretakers. Yeah,
one of the caretakers.
I thought that was so funny. I was like, what kind of...
Because it's her and her husband,
like
is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, her and her husband, who they're just kind of standing there. Once they're revealed, they're kind of standing like half dead, aren't they?
So in this one, which I don't believe they do in the remake, but in this one they get shown around the house to all the various places where murders occurred.
Well, they explore it themselves in the remake.
Yeah. It's the owner in this one who shows them around and explains, so this is what happened here, here, here. And for example, one of the deaths is someone got thrown into a vat of acid and they disintegrated, except for the bones. So I thought that was quite fun, and I liked the bit where, you know, one of the characters, I believe she's a journalist, she stands under a patch of blood on the ceiling.
Yeah, it starts to come down
marks
on her.
her. So I was very much
That's the older lady, yeah.
Yeah, I believe she is a journalist. And I was very much thinking at the start of this, again, that the house really is haunted,
Mm-hmm.
and that we're going to see apparitions and all
Well,
this kind of
much
thing.
like Caligari, we get a twist ending, which comes later, and we'll get to that. But so we mentioned that the invites to the house for the party, you know, Annabelle doesn't know any of them, but does she not know any of them? She's been shagging the Doctor.
Yeah.
And so she fakes her own death by hanging.
Indeed.
Mm.
Yeah. Which
Do
everyone.
you think she was dead? Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because obviously the same kind of thing happens in the remake, that she kind of fakes her death. So I was half expecting her to.
All you need
come
is
back.
some like string/rope, and you can fake a load of stuff according to this film.
Yeah. But I found it very confusing with this, that after, you know, the caretakers, as we said, she's painted as a bit of a ghost woman to start with.
Ghost
but then,
woman.
as soon as the caretakers lock up and leave, I don't feel like there's really any more ghostly insinuation.
Mm-hmm.
But then, obviously, the owner keeps going on about how his family members have passed and how this place is definitely haunted. The ghosts are definitely going to get everyone. Pritchard.
Yeah, Pritchard is, you know, he's on edge.
Convinced.
Of course, yeah, he's a believer. He wants to believe.
And having seen how many apparition effects there are in the remake, I was expecting it. So when it turned out that basically everything that happens is designed by
Vincent Price.
Yeah.
Frederick.
I was like, oh.
Yeah, there we go with the twist ending. And maybe the reason that Pritchard is inclined to believe that the house is super haunted is because Vincent Price, Frederick, as the successful rich man he is, he's kind of got Pritchard somewhat like that, hasn't he? Because there's a scene where, you know, he slaps Pritchard about a bit for walking into his room, doesn't he? He's like, you don't walk into my room, get out of here! And kind of thing. And yeah, so I would believe that Vincent Price's character, you know, would have been feeding Pritchard things to send him into the kind of manic state that he is in. Certainly. Oh, just a word on Pritchard. Chris Kattan in the remake is incredibly enjoyable as well. I love Chris Kattan's performance in that remake. Everyone's. What do you think is better between this and the remake?
For entertainment purposes, I do still think I prefer the remake. It is very much like a modern remake in that they've added a lot of stuff to it, and it's a bit silly.
I say the things that they've added are the bits that make the remake creepy, like, you know, wobbly face, the lady looking through the camera, and then all the ghosts
things
look
where they
at her.
actually have the haunted house.
Then the sensory chamber, which they put Jeffrey Rush in.
They've taken the original and then just added a shit ton of bits. And
because in the also in the original, the house is just locked down by the caretaker.
Yes.
So you can't get out because the house is locked. And there are bars in the windows, so you can't get out. So I did see, okay, they have covered everything here, because at first, like, Vincent Price saying, yes, well, the caretaker's going to lock the door and then we can't leave. And I was like, well, you can just get out the window, but then they do show barred windows. So I was thinking, obviously, thinking to the remake where all those heavy shutters come down and there literally is no escape, because also the house on the edge of a cliff in that one as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than just on a street in Los Feliz.
It's definitely maybe less artistic, I suppose, the remake. And there is something nice about the pared back simplicity and the fact that you're led to believe this place is haunted, but actually it's all just a big
They're rather
ruse.
Different, both films, really, aren't they?
They
So
are.
they're both enjoyable in their
Very
own
different
way,
ways,
certainly.
yeah.
And when we got...
I thought the relationship as well between the secretary woman and the guy, like, it's so old-fashioned. It's so funny the way that instantly progresses. Of, like, he's like, hey, you're very good looking.
Yeah,
Let
Lance.
me just follow you around everywhere.
You had Lance and Nora together. And how about... I think Nora was also kind of latching onto Lance because she's hysterical, isn't she? She's just... during the whole movie, just running around screaming.
Well, again, the whole point is that, you know, Vincent Price's wife and the doctor...
Annabelle.
...are basically trying to turn her so insane and scared that she shoots...
Yeah.
Vincent
Vincent Price, yeah.
So that they can get away with it.
But you can't outsmart the one only Vincent Price. And by the way, he is in his element in this film. You know, every scene he's in, He steals, especially when he's with Annabelle together. They're fantastic. But Vincent Price is the Vincent Price that we all come to know and love. And
I still don't understand though how the ruse was pulled off. I understand Annabelle and the Doctor and how they faked all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the shooting, remind me, how did Vincent Price survive being shot?
Blanks.
That's okay.
Yeah, so he had blanks in the gun, so he just faked being
right,
slumped.
So early on, when he gives everyone a gun in a little coffin thing, by the way, which is cute.
And that's also
mirrored
in the remake, yeah.
Again, vamped up with like the dry ice and stuff. But he shoots one of them to show that there's bullets in it, so I guess he knew which one to shoot.
Doesn't he shoot a pot or something like that?
Yeah. Yes, okay. That makes so much more sense. Also, just a quick one, because where he gets shot, not shot, is in the room with the vat of acid.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one bit I loved when...
Which is under the floorboards.
Yeah, when something gets chucked in there. I think it's like an animal first. And you see just like
the
entire skeleton come up to the top. And it hasn't dispersed in any way. It's like it looks so funny. And then, after a person has been chucked in, again... who is it? I think it's Annabelle thinks that it's the skeleton of Vincent Price's character.
Yeah. Then she's
and
shocked.
The skeleton is, ambulating, walking around, and that was so funny. That was so funny. I loved it.
Yeah, it's you can see the strings.
Yeah,
you can see the strings, but it is on strings because Vincent Price, aka Frederick, is behind the scenes with strings moving this thing around. But what's good is when the skeleton confronts Vincent Price's wife Annabelle and she's walking backwards towards the vat, she looks back and sees it's there, so she tries to stop, and then like the skeleton just goes. I wouldn't even call it a tap. It's like a graze,
barely
and it's in I go to the vat of acid, and then out comes Vincent Price.
Yeah.
So, do you like William Castle's over-the-top camp style?
I do.
But it's strange how the same people that did the remake of House on Haunted Hill, they also did 13 Ghosts, and there's one of which I'm forgetting, which is all William Castle movies. None of them did particularly well financially. I don't think they were handled all that well, but there is something there to William Castle's stuff, which would lend itself again. I'm not saying that another remake of House on Haunted Hill, just because personally I think the original is good enough and the remake is still good enough. There's no need. I think they kind of missed the mark a little bit on 13 Ghosts. That's one with Matthew Lillard. Is in that one?
I know, I'm aware.
Yeah. Love Matthew Lillard, by the way. But I think they could do that one again, possibly. But go for an ultra serious tone. Get rid of the camp. I think 13 Ghosts lend it well to a serious
I haven't actually seen the original, so I can't really compare it or say whether it should or shouldn't be remade. I enjoy the remake, but it certainly doesn't hit that hard. It's like a throwaway popcorn flick.
It is.
It's enjoyable, but
I'd say the same thing about this original. I was about to say the same thing. So I think the 59 version, Vincent Price version, is very enjoyable. Same as they've taken all the same elements into the remake and just updated it somewhat. But I'd watch both. It's not normally when you got both, it's like, oh, I'd only watch this one. This one, I think they're different enough that they're both enjoyable in their own way. And what about the double twist? Because at first you think Annabelle's got the upper hand,
and then she's
because
not.
you think the twist is that she actually knows someone who is here, and they're going to get Vincent Price, but Vincent Price is always one step ahead. That's why he's got his own trousers.
Because Annabelle,
he's rich. He can get away with anything.
He could have done
He
it
saess
a lot
as much.
more
He says as much at the end, doesn't he?
Didn't have to throw a whole party.
Because he tells all the rest of the people, say, "Yes, what you've seen here, I will hand myself over to the authorities, but no doubt I'll get away with it because I have money." Remember?
Yeah.
So he's just arrogant.
I feel like he put a lot of effort into it in that case.
Well, he's an eccentric millionaire. He's got a lot of time on his hands. I mean, what do you do when you're milling about this old Ennis house? Dick about a little bit. There's only so many houses you can collect and cars you can drive before you want to start committing murder and stuff.
Well, anyway.
That's what I take from it. So yeah, good movie.
Yeah.
Good film, enjoyable film. And I thank it for the remake as well.
speaking about thanking for not remakes, but in our first place this week, F.W. Murnau's Nosferatu.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I called him Munro the other day. Murnau, Munro, yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Max Schreck.
This one
As the vampire.
has inspired a film which I absolutely adore since having discovered it very recently. And no, it is absolutely not.
You're welcome.
The new Nosferatu. Absolutely not. It's Shadow of the Vampire. But anyway, great film. You should watch it if you haven't already. Back to 1922. This is the only one this week that we watched, the version at least, that is a full-on silent movie, no dialogue. We do, however, have some singing throughout, don't we?
Yeah, I don't like that.
I didn't think you would. I actually thought it worked, and I thought at the beginning it might get annoying, but I quite enjoyed it.
It's still crazy to me that this is the first time you've seen this.
I know, it's crazy to me, too.
I've seen it about 100 times. And just, this has to be the most copied film in history. It's almost like every week there's something, we know, here's someone with fangs again, and even though you've got different iterations of it, you can either go straight for the Bram Stoker version, which a lot of them do, or, you have like Dracula 2000 with Gerard Butler, where it's sexy.
Yeah. Twilight.
So, Twilight, yeah. I haven't seen those. Maybe you can enlighten me on those ones. How that's taken the vampire genre forward.
It hasn't.
In four movies? Yeah, 4 movies. Because it's part 1 and 2 at the end, isn't it? Yeah. With superb actors like Kristen Stewart. She's just so great. Murnau, Max Schreck as the monster. We got Hutter, who is an estate agent.
Hutter.
Yeah, we've got Ellen. Then we've got Harding and Ruth. They're friends. And the first thing that I'm kind of like noticing in this, because everyone knows the story. Everyone knows the story in Nosferatu. We don't need to really go through the story, right? So the first thing I notice here is the guy that runs the estate agents, Knock, his crazy eyebrows. What are these crazy eyebrows? And then later on in the movie, when Hutter's on his journey to the Carpathians, he like stops off at this bar, and the barman comes out, and he has the equivalent of the eyebrows on his lip, like a tash, like this. And lastly, about facial hair / hair in general, Ellen, who is Hutter's other half, who he leaves, she's wearing what looks like knitting on her head. The things that are dangling down. It irks me. I just want to pull them off. What the hell is that hairstyle?
I can tell how excited and animated you are because my eardrums are suffering just slightly. Yeah.
The problem is we have this small chaise. I'm never comfortable on it. I'm always like, cut. We need a new setup where we can do like you're sitting here, I'm sitting there, and we'll just edit.
What, you want to be further away from me? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Yeah. Funnily enough, actually, Ellen. It was the only performance in this film that I was just a bit blasé about. I'm
talking about performances. So obviously, Knock. He goes insane later on because he turns into the master type. Yeah. But he just looks insane from the get-go. Yeah. He's doing the same thing when he's not sane and when he is insane.
Yes.
Sorry, when he's sane and insane, yeah.
And
Hutter too. Hutter just looks insane from the get-go as well. Obviously, you've got to do the OTT acting. I'm not criticising it. It's of the time, yeah. You have to get everything across because there are no words and things like this, and it goes on for a while.
I thought
but it adds to it.
The settings and the shots that Murnau gets and all of this was really quite mind-blowing, considering how early on this is in the history of film and how beautifully it is like a lot of the shots really are just artwork with moving pieces.
I have written down there are just certain bits which aren't even parts with the monster in, for instance, but I believe it's when Hutter is saying goodbye to Ellen and then their 2 best friends like come round to the house, say we're going to look after her, Ruth and Harding, and it just has the exterior shot is of the house and Hutter's like walking down the stairs, and because of the frame rate of the camera and stuff like that, but it just looks amazing for some reason. I don't know how to put it into words, but it just looks incredible. So much better than a lot of people praise modern day cinematography and stuff, and I find it happening more and more because people go, oh, the cinematography was amazing because the story is normally shit, the acting is normally shit, stuff like this, where everything in this was good. And there was a time up to even like 2015 where you would still get good story, good this, that and the other. Nowadays everything is just ridiculously overrated, and it's not even a patch on what he's managed to get in this, especially with like, I don't want to call it limited technology because that was the technology at the time, so it's not limited at the time.
Yeah.
But there's something to it which is just so it's beautiful to
it's
look
art,
at.
Really,
yeah, it is art.
Without
sounding like totally pretentious, it is.
And even
it's art,
using the different mediums that early on again in the creation of film, when he uses the negative to show the sort of spiritual journey when he's coming to Count Orlok's castle. Again, just little things like that. Like nowadays, it's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Seen it. But at the time, you have to be a true artiste to come up with things like that, if you ask me.
And all the things that he comes up with, which again might kind of look silly, but they're not. So when Hutter's on his journey to Transylvania, and he gets out of the carriage and say, we're not going to take you any further. And so then Nosferatu, the vampire, turns up on his carriage, and to show that he's supernatural, his carriage goes like 3 times the speed of the other carriage, like through the Carpathians and stuff like that. And it's enough that without any words, about anything, you can tell what they're going for straight away.
I suppose as well, a lot of the original black and white films, especially in the silent era, almost all of them are based on novels, existing stories that people know, because I suppose that helps when you can't have dialogue and whatnot to explain the story. You want something that people are somewhat familiar with. But obviously we also all know, I'm sure, the story that here Bram Stoker and the estate didn't allow this to be made. So I think it's quite funny that he's just done things like change the name to Orlok and the setting to Germany or whatever. And
even the word Nosferatu isn't like a real word.
No, yeah.
It's supposed to be something. It's like a misinterpreted word that someone said.
Yeah.
And I think from Romania again, possibly. But also, what you mentioned about how Bram Stoker didn't want this made.
Yeah.
But they made it, and when they went to court, all of turned out just most of the copies were destroyed.
Yeah.
So we're lucky that we even have it. It
Can
survived.
you imagine?
There was,
the destruction.
So we said this was 22. I believe in 1919 or 1920 there was a vampire film made pre-Nosferatu, and all the copies of that were destroyed. So there is something that did exist, which was a vampire movie in like 1919, gone forever. It's just by pure luck that some of them survived, and now obviously Nosferatu's in the public domain because it's so old now.
And also there were different versions shown from what they could like cobble
Splice
together and all
from
this.
the cutting room floor, if you want to call it that.
Also, another thing that obviously this film utilises a lot to, I mean, one of the
plague.
one of the most.
It's plague heavy, isn't it? It's
but that's not what I was going to talk about at all. One of the most
you should have done
iconic images is obviously when Orlok climbs the stairs to Ellen's room, and we've got the shadow. There's so much use of shadows in this.
Yeah, Nosferatu was a huge influence in my mind on Heathen as well.
Which again is interesting though, because like at the time the lore around vampires was that they don't have shadows. So obviously Murnau has decided, like, actually with silence and black and white and using what I can to create atmosphere, his use of shadows is absolutely a good idea.
He has a reflection in the mirror as well.
Yeah.
Nosferatu has a reflection, all that has a reflection in the mirror. So you mentioned about him, come up the stairs, then we had that iconic of him just standing upright.
Yeah, brilliant.
In his crypt, which is done to, again, great effect in probably my favourite Dracula, which is Francis Ford Coppola's Gary Oldman. And because you have 3 iconic vampires. You've got Count Orlok, Nosferatu. Then you've got Bela Lugosi. He has like the V in his head. And even my nephew, when he was like 3 years old, went to his first Halloween party as the Bela Lugosi. I mean, that's how timeless
the Bela Lugosi
it is.
one, if you're going to draw a caricature like cartoon, that's what you go for, isn't it?
Even I went as Bela Lugosi when I was a kid as well. Now my nephew's doing it. And then you've also then you've got Gary Oldman's, with the bouffant hair and the other iterations they have of him in that movie.
I do love that version, Bram Stoker's Dracula's. It's very different.
It's because at the time you were like, oh, there are no good, I hate vampire movies, they're all shit. Because you're watching Twilight, I was like, watch this. And then, you can't help but be blown away by Francis Ford Coppola's. Because it uses a lot of the same techniques. Well, there's nothing in that film which is like digital. It's all, we're only going to use what we can physically use.
I would also say that Nosferatu, the one we're talking about, is... I love that they kind of put a lot of realism into it. They made it feel very believable, despite, you know, Orlok being able to magically put crates on the carriage and stuff.
Yeah.
Still, apart from little things like that, it all feels like you're really seeing what you're seeing through the camera.
Yeah.
I would say Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Coppola version, is more... It's
lush.
That's exactly the word I was going to say. It's so lush that it's a very different feeling.
Yeah, I can't get enough of that film.
But again, having seen now, finally, Nosferatu 22... I just appreciate even more and more and more the Shadow of the Vampire and the casting. Like, the guy who plays Hutter. When I saw Shadow of the Vampire, I was like, this guy looks a bit...
manic.
odd, yeah. There's something a bit off-kilter. But he's, like, exactly like...
I think it's...
the actor who played Hutter.
Yeah, because it's the shot when Hutter, in the original and in Shadow of the Vampire... Hutter's played by Eddie Izzard in that.
Right, yeah.
And he's in the mirror at the close to the beginning. He's like fixing his tire, his bow tie or something. It's literally like exactly the same shot. And then you also have John Malkovich as the maniacal Murnau, who will do anything to get his film made as he wants it. And of course, Willem Dafoe as Count Orlok, who is significantly shorter than Max Schreck. But you can't tell though.
I also always thought that Max Schreck must have been just his stage name. The fact that that's his real name.
Great
is
name
like
for a horror guy.
Completely.
Max
talk
Schreck.
about it, but and also again, you've got to bring that point up. In the Shadow of the Vampire, they bring this whole thing because when the 1922 Murnau version came out, people thought that Max Schreck did such a good job that he must actually be a vampire.
Yeah, and then Murnau just let that fester. He's like, I'll go with that.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Brilliant. It's like...
Which is obviously the whole premise of Shadow of the
1920s
Vampire.
version of Blair Witch
So
hysteria.
you've mentioned Orlok in the Shadow. We've mentioned him getting up in the crypt and then compared it to the Gary Oldman one. The other, I think, that of those two bits are obviously creepy and effective, but for me it's when he's hiding in the bedroom at the end in the shadow, crouched down by, let's call it, not Mina in this, Ellen in this. When he's crouched down, it's just something about it, just like, ooh. And it shows, now that you've seen this, and obviously I slaughtered, and rightly so, the 2024 Nosferatu. Well, funny enough, with Willem Dafoe's in that, unfortunately, for me, because I love Willem Dafoe. And it just shows how that movie, it has nothing. It's added absolutely nothing. And the truest fact that you can say about the movie is like, we know we have nothing, so let's just put a dick on Count Orlok. Let's just show some cock. Because they have nothing, so what can we do to be edgy? Oh, cock! Let's just put a cock.
Do you know what? I haven't seen it, but I've been reading that
Fuck
apparently
that movie.
What the new, 28 Days Later or something...
Bone Temple.
The biggest talking point was, again, one
Cock?
of the zombies having a massive cock.
Exactly, because they've got nothing. They don't have anything. So
I like a bit of cock.
Let's just put some dick in it.
But really, also, I was having a conversation on set the other day with someone who's in the industry, an assistant director, and they brought up, actually, the remake Nosferatu. And for once, they agreed. They didn't think it was a good film. But again, they brought up the fact, they were like, oh, but I have to give it credit for the cinematography. And I have to just shake my head, because I think this is 2024, huge budget. You can do whatever you want. You've got all these, over 100 years of film history to learn from. And there's I don't think there's anything wrong with the cinematography in it, but there was nothing in there that blew my mind.
No.
I see some of Sam Raimi's films with no budget and the things he does with the camera angles. Again, Shadow of the Vampire, the fact that they managed to blend the modern day with the original sort of 20s style. And then going back to what we're talking about now, Murnau's Nosferatu, so much more impressive.
You've also missed out the Heathen Short music and camera angles, way better than anything Robert Eggers and the rest of them did in Nosferatu remake.
On a zero budget as well. So.
Yeah, on a literal zero budget, filmed in our house. So yeah, let's just add a cock. That's what he's got now. And of course,
we do have arse in the short.
Yeah, I insisted on arse, male and female. My arse, your arse, and now you've got Robert Eggers now doing Werewolf. He's doing the werewolf movie. I can't wait. I can't wait to see his version of the werewolf movie. So, yeah, people that say, oh, I love Nosferatu 2024, they can never have seen Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, because it's essentially the same thing, just stratospherically better. And of course, Nosferatu, just stratospherically better. Then it almost makes you not believe, like Robert Eggers said, Nosferatu is my favourite film or horror movie of all time. Well, if that's the case, why have you gone and made this turd?
Yeah, it's like a slap in the face.
Why are you even
really,
remaking it? It is a slap in the face, yeah. So anyone, I don't really respect anyone's opinion who just keeps going about cinematography. It's like, whatever. It should have good cinematography anyway. It's everything else that is in there. There is nothing original. Murnau's this version is obviously completely original, because it's almost like the first vampire movie we have, apart from the one that's destroyed, and it's just influenced everything since. Some of it good, even the original remake from the 70s, which is called Nosferatu the Vampire. That's a good version. That's a really good version.
I also,
the new one not.
The one thing that I found quite just like strange and funny in this version, and again I think it's to do with, we've already mentioned the fact that the performances in silent film were of necessity obviously very different to what we consider nowadays. But when Hutter kind of tells Ellen, his love, his wife, that he has to go away for a while, every version I've seen since, it's a lot more obvious that they're both kind of sad about having to be separated. But in this one, he's like, I'm leaving. Whee! Yeah. And she's like, oh. And it's only right at the end when he's physically leaving his wife with his friends that I see some of his reluctance. But yeah, his reaction there, I thought, this is really funny.
Maybe he was putting the reluctance at the end for, for her benefit? For her benefit. But originally he's just thinking of all these loose Transylvanian hotties that he might come across. That's why he's so...
Oh dear. Yeah, it is a brilliant film, and I'm so glad that I can say that, and that I wasn't disappointed in the way that I was with Caligari.
You can't be disappointed by Nosferatu 22. I don't believe. Just with the facial hair. Just with the facial hair is enough.
Oh,
and
the chase scene with
yeah.
What's it called? Stock, right? Stock. Yeah, the chase scene that's fun as well.
Yeah,
good stuff.
And like I was saying, plague heavy. It reflects the fears of the time. So obviously, turning into rats is from this, turning into rats, and just the fact that Hutter believes he's got a mosquito bite on his neck, but really he's infected. Then the whole town's infected once Orlok gets there. Everyone's coming down with these symptoms. Everyone thinks to break out of plague again.
Yeah,
and plague is also something that I touch on in Heathen as well. There's so much from all these old. The thing is, you have to be not kind of like a historian of horror to get where everything is coming from, where all the influence is. Because as I said, Heathen is like an ode to horror, so it takes everything from movies from the 20s to 30s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah, again, if we're going to be talking about original films, black and whites, influencing new ones, and people getting things completely wrong, like, the cinematography with Nosferatu. Another one that was relatively recent that just blows my mind as to how supposed industry professionals are saying something in a violent nature. Oh my god, how mind-blowing and original to have it from the killer's point of view. It's like, first of all, I wouldn't even say that film is from the killer's point of view. And second of all, we've literally got films from, like, the 30s from the killer's point of view, and countless ones since. So the fact that all these people who are writing reviews as professionals are actually saying that, it's just... It actually makes me a bit sad. I'm like, how can people... You're writing this, and people who aren't as experienced, who are taking your professional word, are then just respouting this, and it's all just rubbish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you said it makes you sad. It just fucks me off. Because, I'm a professional hater.
Yeah.
I hate the media. Mainstream media.
I thought you were the happy, friendly people person.
I hate... I hate...
Self-professed.
I hate like reviewers from like The Guardian or whatever. Empire magazine.
So
they all stick... Because how many movies... Every single movie that comes out now... 100 out of 100.
Yeah,
100 out of 100. There are no movies really in the history of time that are 100 out of 100. But now, weekly, 101 out of 100 is coming out.
It does. It really does.
Marty Supreme,
like,
100 out of 100.
Everyone,
it's so great, isn't it? Marty Supreme.
Everyone's just has zero like self-respect. And
Timothée Chalamet, what a great actor.
Just pocketing money.
Yeah. You can't believe anything they say. So come here if you want a real opinion, basically.
And again, it goes back to once
if you want people who have actually seen historical horror, gone through it all, yeah, and now introducing you all to it, and you can see how much better it all is. It's all so much better. I'll probably go as far as say that Nosferatu is a 100 out of 100 film. You can't really knock it, can you?
Do you know what, actually, when I was getting into all this black and white and the history of horror, right at the start of the book, when they're talking about the beginning of, like, film itself, I went onto YouTube and watched the very first story ever to be committed on film, and it's a version of Cinderella.
Right.
And even that, like, the creativity that is used in, you know, splicing things to make people disappear and appear and all of this, which nowadays, obviously, over 100 years later, is like, yeah, anyone can do that with their phone. But just imagine the creativity to think of that at the time. And again, Murnau with the negatives and the sped up footage carriage, and just...
Well, you've got to think outside the box, and that's a problem that big budgets gives you. Too much money kills creativity. So, you know, imagine like some fantasy land that, you know, Amazon came to me, Netflix, oh, we're going to give you, we love Heathen, we're going to give you 100 million. And I'll be like, I don't need or want 100 million. That's just going to kill what it's all about. It will just absolutely destroy it if that was the case. I'll just have to pocket 99 million and just
it's true. And
use
also,
maximum of £1 million to make Heathen.
What would be even worse is that that kind of money always comes with strings attached. So anything you see with that kind of budget, unless it's someone with proper clout, like I guess like Steven Spielberg or something, they're not making all the decisions.
Anyway, things like Netflix, Amazon, whoever you want to name now, they've all taken all of the IPs of horror, right? Frankenstein, most recent one, Netflix Frankenstein. None of these people know anything about horror or how to make them. It shouldn't be in their hands. Disney with Predator. I mean, oh my god, the new Predator is so good. Like, get fucked. Get fucked royally, because that's just it's probably a bigger piece of shit than Prey, which is the biggest piece of shit in the Predator universe.
Getting all worked up again.
I mean, you think Alien vs Predator might have been bad, but no, it's a piece of classic cinema compared to Prey. Yeah, I'm just sick of everybody. Like I say, professional hater and proud of it, because how can you do anything but hate modern cinema? It all stinks.
That's why you love Uwe Boll, isn't it?
I love Uwe.
Because you can relate.
I love Uwe Boll. And plus, yeah, they're all fucking each other in the ass. Absolutely. Love a German. Love these films. And the original Caligari.
And it is funny that
everyone should watch these.
A lot of the original horrors are German.
Mm-hmm. Well, Germans are evil.
Enough.
As are the Scandies. They're very evil. So, of course, you know, half Swede, half Kraut.
That's why I live and breathe evil.
Yeah, so on that note, I would, definitely suggest, if you haven't already, check out Nosferatu at least. And if you want like a nice camp bit of fun, go to House on Haunted Hill. And if you want something which is just visually striking and original and has influenced stuff, like I said, like David Lynch and so forth, Cabinet of Dr Caligari is something to check out.
Please find the right version though, because I was highly disappointed.
The correct version, and
I will be trying to find the correct version as well. What
I would say to as we leave this, to all my brothers and sisters out there, stay black and white.